the fighting against memorials. The Bandera soldiers are fighting against memorials of the Soviet Union, memorials which were erected to commemorate the true heroes who fought fascists and Nazis. In Trostenets, Sumy region, neo-Nazis dismantled a monument to the tank crews who liberated the city from the Nazis. In the city of Vishnov, Kiev region, they demolished a monument in honor of the soldier liberators, and in the city of Polony, Khmelnytsky region, a bas-relief of the Order of the Patriotic War was removed from a monument erected at the mass grave of Soviet soldiers who fell in battles with the fascists.
All this is nothing but a confirmation of the relevance, of the correctness, and of the forcefulness of the special military operation. All the tasks and goals that we have set in front of ourselves, they will all be definitely achieved, as the Russian leadership has stated repeatedly. But this war against humanity, against human nature, and I mean the war on historic memory, rages on, and it's not just continuing in Ukraine, but in the Baltic states as well. This is where the true fight against consciousness is taking place. And nothing but scandalous could be heard about the act of vandalism in the Estonia, reports of yet another state vandalism. This refers to the exhumation using an excavator of the remains of sailors and other Russian soldiers who died in battles. In 1941-1945, the Estonian authorities were not satisfied with the demolition in 2022 of the monument with the red star that stood there. They've decided to completely clean up this place, which is sacred to our compatriot. And this is rampant inhumanity. And these egregious actions are contrary to Tallinn's obligations under Article 34 of Additional Protocol 1 to the Geneva Conventions of August 12, 1949, relating to the protection of victims of international armed conflicts. Russia strongly condemns the immoral and criminal campaign being carried out in Estonia to desecrate the remains of those who died fighting fascism. We reiterate that a criminal code of the Russian Federation provides for criminal liability for the destruction, damage, or desecration of military graves, including those located abroad. I would like to recall the words of one of the figures of show business who said while living abroad in the Baltic states that they're a sovereign state and they're free to do whatever they want with it. Is that what you're supporting? Are you supporting the so-called exhumation by excavators when in fact it's a new term? Excavator, exhumation of bodies of heroes who fought against Nazism. Then feel free to say it up front. That you're not just advocating for aesthetics, but you're supporting neo-Nazism. But Estonia is not just known for that. You have to understand neo-Nazism is not just about the past. First and foremost, it's about the present. Because the fight continues not just with a historic memory, but against their own citizens. While utility fees continue to rise in the Baltic states, they have some of the highest inflation and unemployment rates in the European Union. And against this backdrop, Estonia plans to introduce in January 2026 an additional surcharge on electricity payments, which will be levied on both consumers and producers. And these actions that are useless, the Estonians are trying to cover up with ostentatious arguments that this measure, do you know what's their excuse? Is a price to pay for energy independence from Russia. I believe that's perfect explanation, perfectly reasonable explanation. I don't know, perhaps this line should be continued. Anorexia is a price to pay for not consuming food. It's the same line of logic. It's true insanity what they're trying to claim. The ruling Baltic regimes, as a result of their anti-popular policies, have already caused a catastrophic mass exodus of citizens from their countries. About half of the remaining working-age population is also considering moving to economically developed countries. The birth rate is declining and life expectancy remains one of the lowest in Europe. I would just like to recall that it's not under the oppression or occupation of any kind that you're witnessing these figures in the Baltic states. This is their supposed flourishment and the independent sovereignty that is leading to these results. So this is what true independence looks like in the Baltic states. We have carefully studied the advisory opinion issued by the International Court of Justice on October 22nd this year on Israel's obligations as an occupying power and a member state of the UN with regards to the activities of the UN and other international organizations and the presence of third countries in the occupied Palestinian territory. And we will comment on this after the expert. That this is the court's third advisory opinion on the consequences of the Israeli occupation, including the second since the beginning of the current crisis in the Arab-Israeli conflict zone. We've drawn attention to the legal assessments of Israel's legislation and specific actions in relation to the territories it occupies. The court found a violation of the requirements of the Fourth Geneva Convention 1941 on the supply of food and sanitary materials to the population. In this regard, Israel's obligation as the occupying power to ensure operations to provide assistance to the population of the occupied Palestinian territory and to facilitate the implementation of these measures by all available means was confirmed. The Russian side took the same position during the oral hearings on this case. In addition, the chief judicial body of the World Organization emphasized the need to respect the mandate and status of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, UNRWA. It was noted that Israel's actions with regard to UNRWA must be brought into line with its international obligations, including those under the 1946 Convention on the Privileges and Immunities of the United Nations, as well as international humanitarian law. On November 6th, the UNESCO General Conference, taking place in Samarkand, has elected a new Director General of the organization, renowned Egyptologist and former Minister of Tourism and Antiquities of Egypt, Khaled Al-Nani, for the period from 2025 to 2029. He will take office on November 14th. We welcome this decision. We're impressed by the business-like and constructive attitude of the new head of the organizations, which can be summarized as follows. We need a strong UNESCO, completely depoliticized, focused on consensus and harmony, including with the use of technology that is intolerant to discord. We need a UNESCO for the people. Khaled Al-Nani is taking out this post at a turbulent, difficult time. He inherits a heavy legacy from France's Audrey Azoulay. Against the backdrop of budgetary turmoil, the organization has been hit by damaging politicization. And it has been undermined by it, with the resources and attention of member states often diverted to initiatives that are not in line with UNESCO's goals and objectives. Khaled Al-Nani faces difficult tasks, implementing long overdue reforms, strengthening the Secretariat's interaction with and accountability to member states, and improving the effectiveness of program implementation. We support the new head of UNESCO in his plans and assure him of our readiness to cooperate.